What's going on, friends? Harley-Davidson finally broke their silence on the issues and everything that was going on. After everybody was debadging motorcycles, talking about it, spreading the word, after nobody went to anything Harley-Davidson sponsored at Sturgis, Harley-Davidson finally caved and put out a statement. I'm calling it a statement and not an apology because it wasn't really an apology. There was a lot of seething language in this letter and one little statement that's really got me bothered. I feel like Harley-Davidson really showed their true colors on how they feel about their customer. Now, I'm not talking about the dealerships, I'm not talking about the line workers, I'm talking about the CEO and the board, those at the top. Those people that made these decisions that led to all these issues for Harley-Davidson and all the problems that they've caused. Now, Harley-Davidson basically came out and said they're walking back all of the programs, they're doing away with everything that upset all the customers. But they failed. They honestly failed. Yes, we could call this a win. We really don't want to maybe push this any farther, but we got what we asked for, but I still personally feel like it's not enough. To really turn the company around, I really feel like we've got to get rid of the CEO and the board. That's got to go. But getting these programs and everything out of there and getting back to what we truly want from Harley-Davidson, and that's just great motorcycles. Make the great motorcycles. That's absolutely all we're asking for. And don't get us involved in all these other things that we may not necessarily want to be associated with. Now, what's really got me upset about what they put out is the fact of that second paragraph where they said they are really saddened by all the negative social media, all the negative news about Harley-Davidson out there. Okay, great. You know what? None of us caused this. Harley-Davidson, you yourselves caused this. You tried to push something on your customer base. They didn't like it. Your customer base pushed back, and they pushed back in a big way. You bit the hand that feeds you, and the customer bit back on you. This is Harley-Davidson's fault. This isn't your fault. This isn't my fault. This isn't any Harley-Davidson rider's fault out there. We simply responded to what Harley-Davidson was doing as a company because we didn't agree with what they were doing. Now, Indian obviously sat back with a bucket of popcorn and just watched the sparks fly through all of this. Indian timed it just absolutely perfect. Indian put out their Folds of Honor ad, they got involved in it, and this wasn't something that Indian wasn't already doing. Indian had already been involved in those wonderful programs. Now, I absolutely have to applaud Indian for what they did with their commercials and everything else. I think Indian helped kind of push Harley-Davidson back on track. Harley-Davidson basically stated in the statement that they're going to get back to focusing programs on first responders, active duty military, and veterans. Getting back to the things that are a majority of their customer base, which is excellent. I'm super happy to hear that. But here's the other thing. How do we trust Harley-Davidson again? My issue that I have, yeah, it's a great statement. After that second paragraph, they said all the right things, kind of in not a, I wouldn't say a very, it was a pretty hateful tone. Let me put it that way. The fact that we didn't agree with what they were pushing and we didn't like it and they got mad at us for it. We didn't just roll over and accept what they were doing. It was unacceptable to us. As I mentioned, we pushed back on it. But how do we trust them? They've already lied to us. They said all the motorcycls for the U.S. market were going to be produced in America. Now, I haven't got any further information on that, if they've walked that back, that they're still going to produce the Pan America and the Sportsters in Thailand and ship them back to the U.S. But that right there, I don't know about you, that action right there really creates some distrust in my heart for Harley-Davidson. I absolutely love the motorcycles, but I absolutely hate the company itself right now. I've never been a huge fan of the company itself, but after all of this, I don't know if I can trust them. They've already lied to us once by saying they're not going to ship bikes back from overseas to be sold in the U.S. Then they walk that back. Then they come out with this statement, which, as I mentioned, it was kind of seething and hateful towards the customers. And as I mentioned, it's not our fault that they did that. That was not our fault. They did it, they got caught, and they got mad about it because we didn't accept it and we kicked it back on them. Now, all the coverage and everything that was going on for Harley-Davidson, you had people taking the badges off their motorcycles, sending them to their dealers, mailing them back to Harley-Davidson. Harley-Davidson got an exponential amount of phone calls, all kinds of, people just went after them on this deal, tell them how they really feel. These corporations, these boards, it's nothing on everybody below the top. The engineers, the workers, nobody had anything to do with this. It was the CEO and his cronies that started all this garbage. It wasn't anybody else's fault but theirs. Now, I think what would be an excellent step for Harley-Davidson's next move would be to just get rid of that CEO. Get somebody in there that is a real rider. Somebody that actually rides the motorcycles. I don't honestly believe that anybody on the board at Harley-Davidson even cares about motorcycles, that they even ride the products that they're selling. To really win everybody back to Harley-Davidson, get rid of the CEO, and at the bare minimum, put somebody in there that believes in Harley-Davidson, that believes in motorcycles, that is a rider. Somebody that actually rides the bikes. There's nobody better than to run a company like that is involved in business, but actually rides the motorcycles themselves. But I am happy to see that Harley-Davidson finally said something. They went the Bud Light route when all this started. They totally went silent. They locked down all their social media. You couldn't comment on it. You couldn't say anything on there to them. So we found other avenues to reach the company, and I do believe we reached them because we finally got a response from them. Was it the response we all probably would have liked to have? Not really, but it was a response. We got what we were calling for, and so I'll take that in a win in a lot of ways. But these companies just think they could do whatever they want, but they forget who is Harley-Davidson. We are Harley-Davidson. The customer is always right, and we're going to dictate what the company does, whether they like it or not. Company can do whatever they want. We don't have to buy their product. So guys, this is kind of the reason why I wouldn't take anything from Harley-Davidson ever. Because a lot of bigger channels out there that have Harley-Davidson sponsorships, they get invited to a lot of the different Harley-Davidson rides and press releases and things. All of them were absolutely silent on this issue. They weren't going to say a word about it. Now, whether that's contractual or just smart on their part by not biting the hand that feeds them, I was a little saddened to see them just kind of keep going about their daily business and not actually draw some attention to this and actually stand up and speak about it. This is why I don't like to do sponsorships. This is why I don't like anybody to basically be over me. I don't want to take a sponsorship for something and then absolutely owe them, and then I can't speak freely on behalf of myself and anybody else that agrees. I have to do what they want me to do. I would have to do what they want me to say. And I don't want that. That's why I I would never take a sponsorship from Harley-Davidson themselves, because I don't want to be in that position. But anyhow, guys, I know it's been some very raw, real videos past couple of weeks. There's been a lot going on with Harley-Davidson. I just really, to be honest with you, I hadn't had anything else on my mind that I could really put out there with all of this going on. My mind was just, I was pretty frazzled about Harley and this crap. And as I mentioned, as much as I don't like the company, I still love the motorcycles. But kind of think about Bud Light beer. Hardly anybody drinks it anymore. You rarely see anybody with Bud Light, not like you used to. There was a Bud Light in every hand. But guys, I need your opinions on this statement. I want to know what you think in regards to what Harley-Davidson said. Do you have an issue with what they said, or maybe just how they said it? I kind of had an issue with both myself, but let me know your opinion down in the comments. But anyhow, guys, that's all I've got for you this week. If you guys enjoyed the video, please don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. But till next week, guys, you stay safe on the streets, ride smart, dodge those cars, and I'll catch you guys back here next week with a brand new video. Thanks for watching.